Hey, Destis and Bride friends. So you're here today because you want to know how this Dusty Bride got married in Riviera Maya, Mexico. And I'm here because I'm going to let you know. This is Ericka, and she got married in Riviera Maya, Mexico at the Azul Fives Resort. And she shared the wealth and told us everything we needed to know about destination wedding planning. So, absolutely, you'll get something just in general. But we talked a lot about Mexico and we even dug into her resort and everything. So it was absolutely, you guessed it, amazing. And we talked about everything. We talked about making the decision to even have a destination wedding in the first place. She had a fairy tale engagement and proposal story, so she shared that so we get all warm and fuzzy there. We dug in on a topic that I feel like every destination couple deals with at some point, which is dealing with people who aren't as supportive as you like them to be about your decision to have a destination wedding. So she gave some really, really, really great advice on that. So I love, love, love what she says about this. So you can't miss it. You can't miss it. Another great thing was thinking outside of the box on ways to save money. We talked about that, packing tips, honeymoon considerations to think about while planning a destination wedding. We really talked about it all. It was absolutely amazing, and I know that you're going to enjoy it. So, if you have any questions, make sure that you drop them in the comments below. And any details and things that we discussed are waiting for you in DESTILAND. So, you can see that link downstairs, is what I was going to say. All links and details of everything that we discussed are waiting for you in DESTILAND. That link is in the description below. And this is just one of the many, many interviews that I'm sharing from season 1 of the Desti Guide to Destination Weddings podcast. Season 2 is starting in January 2019. So make sure that you subscribe because that is the only way that you'll be notified of brand new videos. Every single day, I'll be bringing something new to you. Monday through Thursday will be you and I. And on Fridays, the interviews will be continuing. So it could be a Desti Bride, it could be a Desti Pro, and you won't know if you don't subscribe. So make sure that you do that. And if you're planning your wedding, let me know. Hashtag I'm a Desti and let me know where and when you're getting married so that I can continue to scout different Desti Pros and Desti Brides to get you relevant information because all I do all day, every day is help you plan your destination wedding and I'm super excited about it. I know that you are too because you're sitting here watching me. So let's get that thumbs up. Let me know where you're getting married and when. And if you ever have any questions, DESTILAND is where you can find me. And until then, enjoy this interview with Ericka. Ericka, thank you, thank you, thank you so very much for everything. You've been so very helpful, and I wish you the best luck and congratulations on your life and all that beautiful stuff. And you, Destis and Bride friends, I will see you guys tomorrow. And thank you for watching. Thank you for listening, and enjoy your day. Hi, Ericka.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing pretty good.
Now, are you Mrs. Taylor Portis, or what is your current status?
So I'm just Mrs. Portis now. So I did change my name, no hyphen. So it's just Mrs. Portis.
Go ahead, Mrs. Portis. Okay, Mrs.
Yeah.
Portis. So, we talked for a little moment before, but thank you so very much for being here and being our bride friend. I appreciate you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So, can you tell us a little bit about your engagement?
Sure. So my engagement was a bit of a surprise. It was actually on my birthday. And we had plans, for me to go to the spa during, after work and then to go to dinner. And I thought maybe he would do it, but I thought maybe he wouldn't.
How long
Um,
had you been together?
we had been dating probably about 5.5 years at this point. So he was on a timer, a bit of a timer,
Tick, tick,
and
tick.
he knew it. So I'm kind of like, okay, maybe he'll do it on my birthday, but may not. He may not. It's obvious. So he ended up deciding to do it on my birthday and called my best friend, and she kind of planned everything. Kind of had a Beyonce type theme to it, and I'm a
Oh,
huge
I
Beyonce.
have to hear about this. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm a huge Beyonce fan. You like my intro is the Crazy in Love. It's like a cover of
Uh,
the whole thing. So how do you have a Beyonce themed proposal?
so Well, I'm a huge Beyonce fan, so and obviously my best friend, she's an event planner. So he knew immediately, to call her. So, we have some vendors that we work with all the time, and she reached out to our vendors like, "Hey, I need these signs made like in the next 24 hours." So she just had these big signs made, and I think some of it's on my Instagram page, and it said, like, "Will you be my fiance?" A play on Beyonce, so it was
Right.
spelled like that. And a couple of my friends, we all met down. Well, after I left the spa, we were headed to dinner. He was late, so I'm really upset because he's always late. And I'm calling him like, "Where are you at? We're supposed to be to dinner." And he wasn't picking up the phone, and I didn't understand. So eventually, he meets me at the spa at the Fairmont, and he's like, "Oh, well, we're going to go to Ruth Chris instead. We were supposed to go to Capitol Grill." And I'm like, "But why aren't we just going to Capitol Grill? Like, we can just walk up the street?" So as we're walking into Market Square, and I'm arguing with him about being late for dinner, as I approach like the middle of Market Square, I kind of see, the silhouettes of my friends holding these signs. And he kind of had, there was like candles, like in a circle around Market Square, and, people were watching on, and we had a videographer and everything. And, he got down on one knee and proposed. So I was surprised. It was very sweet. And I was glad that, my friends were able to be involved.
Yeah. So obviously you said yes.
Yes, I did.
And then what, like, how did you guys decide on destination?
Well, you know what? The funny part is we didn't initially decide on destination. We are big travelers, and we love Mexico. I'm a huge beach bum. I love being on the beach, and initially we were going to get married Hotel Monaco in downtown Pittsburgh. So it's like a new swanky hotel in the city. And it was always going to be small. We tried to keep it maybe, well, I guess small in my eyes is probably somewhere around 125, 130 guests.
Okay.
And I didn't want to spend a ton of money. And another thing that I had an issue with is being a planner, being in the wedding planning business, I felt like there was a lot of pressure
Mhm.
for my wedding to look like the weddings that
You got to
people
come with it.
exactly, exactly. I found it very hard to get the guest count down, and in the end, I think I just felt like, you know what, this isn't really what I wanted to do. Like every time we traveled and we saw the weddings on the beaches, I said, man, I would love to get married on a beach. I would love to get married on the beach. Um, and probably so we got engaged in October. We knew we wanted to get married that summer. We didn't want a long engagement. I had already had Hotel Monaco booked, deposit paid, and probably 2 months afterwards, in like December, I said, you know what? I'm canceling it. I'm not doing this. We're gonna go destination. And
So you
he's like, "You're
sent out
crazy."
invitations.
Well, I hadn't sent out invitations yet or anything.
Okay.
So that'll bring me to my next point. But so in December, I decided that we were going to do a destination wedding. He's like, "You're crazy. People won't come. No one can afford it." And I understood the concerns. Probably 75% of the people that came to our wedding didn't have passports, had never been out of the country. So it was a huge concern. He's like, "No one's going to come." I'm like, "Trust me, people that are most important to us in our life will find a way, to be there." So in January, we made the official decision to have a destination wedding. I gave my guests 6 months notice that I felt really bad about. But we got the invitation sent out, and 40 people came, which was a really good number
Right.
for us, and we had a great time, and I don't regret a minute of the decision.
Okay. So, okay, let's rewind for a moment.
Yeah.
So, did you send the same, like, how many invitations did you send?
I only had to send probably once we made the decision to do the destination. I invited, I think, 60 people. So I think I sent out like 35 invitations. I ended up sending out like 35 invites. I didn't
Okay,
send
so
out
that's
anything
like people and then some plus one, the people who are
exactly.
alone with their plus ones.
Exactly.
Okay. And then I guess what made you decide to go from having that many people? Like how was it difficult for you guys to do that? Like from having maybe 100 and something that you mentioned before to then streamlining it and bringing it down?
So what we ended up doing was, and what my initial thought was behind the guest count is that we would, well, when we were going to get married in Pittsburgh, we had a bridal party. I think I had 6 people on my side. He had 6 people on his side. So when we decided to do the destination, we decided that we would only invite the bridal party, their plus ones, and our parents. That was it.
Right.
So that got us down to probably expecting about, you figure 12 people in the bridal party plus ones, that's 24. We'd probably be somewhere around 30, people. And then as we went, we had a couple really close friends that weren't in the bridal party, that we ended up adding on as an invite. And just a few aunts and uncles. And that's really where we kind of capped it off at. There were a couple of people like, I can't believe I wasn't invited. And I'm like, look, so the way that I was able to get around that is like, we only invited the bridal party and plus ones and our parents, and that was, essentially it. And, you know, I think most of the people, honestly, who maybe said, "Oh, I can't believe I wasn't invited," probably weren't going to
Wouldn't
come
have
to
come
your
anyway. Right.
uh,
That tends to be the
card,
yeah.
So that's kind of how we did that.
Okay. And then did you decide to do, and I'm obviously fast forwarding past the wedding, we're gonna get into that, but did you decide to do anything once you got back home? Like did you have that whole why didn't you have a reception or anything like that?
No.
Yeah, me either. Yeah, no. Okay. So you decided that you're doing destination in
Mhm.
January
Mhm.
and you invited your people.
Mhm.
What was next? How did you pick your vendors? Oh, actually, wait. How did you pick your destination?
Well,
And where was your destination? Share with the
actually,
people.
I picked destination because I did have price a little bit in mind. And I just felt like from looking at the flights, flying into Cancun was kind of like cheapest at the time.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was just most familiar with that area because we had been there probably 4 times previously together. So I was just more comfortable with that area, and I just knew I would probably get married there.
Okay. You said you've been there?
Yeah, probably 3 or 4 times
Right.
beforehand.
Yeah, yeah. Okay. And then how did you pick your did everyone stay in the same resort or how did you
Yeah,
make that decision?
they did. Everyone stayed in the same resort.
What was the resort?
So the resort was Azul Fives, and
Ooh,
it's
that's a good one.
Playa
Okay, I'm
del-
sorry. Go ahead.
it's in Playa del Carmen, which is 40 minutes outside of Cancun. And I make decisions pretty quickly. Maybe slightly haphazardly. I don't know. It's kind of like, oh, I found this one. I'm just going to do this, and that's essentially how it happened. Whenever I'm trying to find things, I'm really big on Instagram and hashtags, so I search hashtags. And I knew that I wanted some. The view was important to me, so I wanted some type of like sky view or something, um, overlooking the ocean. So I typed in rooftop weddings. I think I
Mm.
typed in Cancun rooftop wedding, something like that, and Azul Fives had popped up. And as soon as I clicked on it, the very next point that I had in trying to make my decision was the cost of the food. So I probably looked at like 4 different resorts that had a sky view wedding ceremony and reception area. And then my final decision was on what's the cost going to be per person for food. And the cost per person for the food at this resort was so cheap. So I was like, well, this is it. I'm just gonna go with this one.
So you this is the first time I'm hearing this Instagram thing, so this is amazing. I'm just now learning about social media and I'm obviously it's necessary to get the word
Yeah,
out with what I'm doing right now.
yeah, yeah.
But okay, so you did your hashtags, you found the
Hmm.
resort, and then did you just like reach out? Did you look at reviews anywhere, or did you
I
just?
did. I did. I would go to TripAdvisor, and actually, what I encourage is for a lot of destination brides, there are a ton of different groups on Facebook
Mhm.
for different resorts, different locations. So whether it's Cancun brides, Jamaica brides, things like that, and there's a wealth of information located within those groups. And there was an Azul Fives bride group, so it was like great
Interesting.
information. Yeah, because people who have been past brides could speak about their experiences firsthand. They had videos and pictures up, and then future brides could ask questions. And that's actually where I got the bulk. of my answers to my questions at, because I could go there, post a question, and have an answer in 5 minutes versus the delayed communication that sometimes you have with the wedding planning teams at the resort.
Right. And speaking of that, so you reached out to them
Hmm.
and your wedding was on the resort, right?
Yes. Hmm.
How did you deal with the delay? And was there much, and then my other question, was there much of a delay because your wedding was kind of sooner? I feel like you may not have gotten much of a delay. Like for me, we had a 2 year engagement. So a lot of
Yeah.
times when people know that your wedding is further out, you kind of get played to the left
Right.
until it's closer.
Right.
But did you deal with that at all?
I did because the way this resort works, and I think a lot of resorts sometimes kind of work like this, is they deal with like their weddings month of. So as the month of approaches, that's when they really kind of up the communication with you. So in the beginning, I would send an email and maybe not receive an email back for 2.5 weeks, um, on an answer to a question. So I would call over and over again. I would ask to the manager, and kind of usually I would end up getting to someone eventually. So yeah, there was definitely a communication gap there.
Did that sway you at all with the
No, because I'm a planner, I felt fairly comfortable knowing what to do. I could see how for others though who aren't familiar and have never planned a wedding before, how it could be a major point of stress. Because you feel like you want the answers to these questions and you're not getting the answers to the questions. And another thing is a lot of the resorts, their wedding planning departments are in the States, and it's different than the wedding team that you're going to deal with at the resort.
hmm?
So my wedding planning team was in Miami, but they had to email the resort to get the answers to the questions that I wanted. So the people that I dealt with at the resort, when it came time to my wedding coordinators for that day, weren't the same people I had been talking to for the past couple of months.
Interesting. Do they tell you that? I've never heard that
They
before.
don't know, but I figured that out through the Facebook group. Like, hey, these people aren't at the
Aren't
resort.
there?
Yeah,
Interesting. Did you use a travel agent?
I did.
Was that how did you find them?
Actually, again, I told you how I make decisions pretty quick, right? So I just Googled like Pittsburgh travel agent, and Liberty Travel came up, and I just called like, hey, I'm having this destination wedding. I need, group flights, things of that nature set up. And I just went with the first person I talked to essentially. But I don't think that's a good idea. I think that brides need, the thing about travel agents and planning destination weddings is that some travel agents have work better with certain resorts, and they are able to get you certain types of credits and discounts that other travel agents can't do if they don't work with that resort often. So I would encourage people to shop around for their agent for a little bit if they have the time to do so, and say, hey, what credits can you offer me through this resort? Because it can really vary from one agent to the next.
Yeah, definitely. I agree. We shopped around for ours. We ended up using someone who wasn't in Pittsburgh. Oddly
Hmm.
enough, like we reached out Liberty Travel. We both live in Pittsburgh, by the way, guys. And we
Hmm.
had no, and I didn't know she lived in Pittsburgh until I had already fell in love with her wedding. So
Hmm.
anyway, but yeah, I reached out to a few different people, and it just wasn't working. Liberty Travel specifically was just,
Yeah,
it just wasn't, it wasn't it. So we ended up finding Sarah, who lives in Maryland, but it doesn't matter where she lives, obviously. And
exactly.
so yeah, but we did that. Now, when you put together your wedding website, did you have a wedding website?
I didn't.
You did not. So how did you
No.
communicate with your stuff to everyone?
So email. I didn't have a wedding website. What I did was I told you how I only gave my guests 6 months notice for the
Right.
wedding. I figured it out in January. The wedding was in June. Um, is that 6 months? January, February, March, April, May. Yeah, 6 months. So I knew I had to get the information out quickly. So I basically sent out an email. Well, let me say this. Let me backtrack. Maybe I did kind of have a wedding website. My travel agent set up a website through Liberty Travel, and
Oh, so it's like their
on
hub for them to.
exactly, so people could go on and register for their rooms. It had a little bit of information about the hotel, but it didn't have a lot of detailed information around the events of the weekend, things of that nature. It was mostly like travel and hotel information.
Oh,
But I
okay.
sent out an initial email to everyone that I was inviting saying, hey, you're going to be receiving, an invite from me shortly in regards to our destination wedding that we're having. We hope you can join us. Here are the events. here are the dates, and look out for your official invite within 3 to 4 weeks. So that's kind of how I initially did it.
Okay, so you sent an email and then you sent the actual invitations later.
Yeah, probably like a month after I sent the first email.
Now, did that fly well with actual family, like parents and stuff? Did you?
Yeah, because we have direct contact with our parents all the time, and
Right.
really, that was one of the stresses, probably the major stresses of having a destination wedding, is having parents that had never been out of the country.
Yeah.
So I almost felt like a travel agent myself. So I knew that I would be handling everything for them anyway.
Hmm.
So they were kind of like, I was like, Mom, Dad, I'll handle it. Don't worry about it. I'll tell you where to be. And
Right.
yeah,
Okay. And you mentioned that most of your guests had never been out of the country, or like didn't have passports, also. So
yeah,
how? I know that you said like, I mean, obviously, like we had a really, really good group that it was a good mixture, but a lot of our guests hadn't been anywhere either.
yeah,
So we kind of tried to like, I don't want to say like babysit, but certain
yeah,
people we knew we had to go like, hey, and we sent like reminders, and we did have like a website
yes,
so we could send messages to people like, don't
yes,
forget about your website, and don't forget about making your payments for this, and don't forget about that kind of stuff.
yeah, yeah.
Did you have any like fallback from people? Like when you told them you were having a destination wedding, was everyone just like, yay?
I think people were initially like, "Wow, okay," not too much pushback. I think from some family members, it was like, "Oh, well, why would she do that, knowing like everybody couldn't
Everybody
afford
can't
that?"
come. Yeah.
And it's kind of like, because you know what, I stopped caring about what everybody else wanted me to do, and I did what I wanted to do because nobody's helping me pay for this wedding, and so if I'm going to pay for it, then I want it to be exactly what I want at the end of the day. So I decided to we decided to put us first, and really my husband wasn't really all for it. A couple of times he's like, "Are you sure we're making the right decision? Like, can you put here? Like, are you sure about this?" He wasn't really fully on board probably until we got there.
Yeah, and then he was like, yes, I'm so glad we
And
did this.
afterwards, he was like, "You know what, babe? Like this was the right decision. This is what we should have did." So yeah,
Good. I love that though. I love you saying that you guys, you put yourself first, and that's a great way to start your life together. You're
yeah,
starting off on the right foot. Like it's about us, and
right,
doesn't mean we don't love you, but it's about us and what's best for us.
exactly.
So that's great. And then he
Yeah.
ended up being happy with it then. So what about your dress? Because you didn't have a lot of time.
I didn't. So I had to pick a dress pretty quickly.
You pick everything quickly, first of all.
I do.
I need to like hang out with you for real, because I am the worst at making decisions. Like right now I'm sitting here, I'm about to change the cover of the podcast, and I can't pick a font. I
Yeah.
can't pick a font. And then the more I see, the more I like I'm like dying right now. So yes, I need to channel some of this over this call right now.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I went to Bridal Beginnings. I always had my heart set on a Berta dress,
Mhm.
and I have you know expensive taste without really having the money to buy the things that I want to have. Um,
I can
and I was like,
relate.
"Oh,
Yep.
I want a Berta dress," but I knew how much Berta dresses were,
Right.
and at the time, Bridal Beginnings didn't have Berta dresses, so I said, "All right, I just have to kind of rethink my expectations of what I want." So I went there. I knew I wanted something that, and remember, at the time that I chose my dress, I was still getting married at Hotel Monaco. So
Oh
I had
yeah.
made the decision to do destination. So I knew I wanted something illusion, um, strapless, mermaid. I knew that was my things, and I went there and I found a really nice dress by Yumi Katsura. Um, and we work really well with Bridal Beginnings because we send pretty much all of our brides there, so we're really familiar with the staff. And I found my dress, but it really wasn't a destination wedding dress. Like if I had to choose again, um, I would have probably chose, because my dress was a little heavy and hot, because I was going to be in a ballroom,
Right.
but because it had that illusion effect to it, it still worked, and because I wasn't getting married on the sand, I felt like it still worked for my wedding.
Yeah,
So
you'll be yeah, and your dress is similar to mine. I mean, I shouldn't say similar to mine. My dress was in no way a traditional destination dress. I had
mhm,
a 6 foot train. It was big. I
mhm,
had some illusion to the sides. It was. I don't want to say heavily beaded, but it definitely was much
Yeah.
more going on with it. And I drug it through the sand and woods the whole night, and it's
Yeah.
completely demolished.
Yep.
But hey, so it's funny, and I was like, oh, it's so, oh, I just love it. It's just so wonderful, and of
Yeah.
course, your photos are amazing, so which we
Yeah.
will have on the show notes as well. But so you found, so wait a minute, you said you found this before you decided destination, so
Yeah.
you got engaged in
In October,
October.
and I think I found my dress in November, and then
Jeez. Oh my gosh. Yes, I just
I. Yep.
my mind is blown right now, but you're not the first. I mean, I know I need to work on my decisiveness. So this is just telling me and reminding me of just how you just pulled the trigger. Was it your first
Yeah.
visit? Did you just go and you knew it?
Yeah. Yep. It was my first one. I knew I kind of had to do it, and I knew I had to be okay with knowing that I was not going to find what I truly wanted. So I was like, okay, this is, I like this. It's nice. I gotta do something, and I went with that one.
So if you would have known it was destination, what would you have done instead?
I would have chose a different dress. I would have went with something that was a little lighter, at the bottom. Still mermaid illusion, but just more of a light, flowy material maybe at the bottom than the
The
ruched,
structure kind
structure
of,
I
yeah.
had. Yeah, yeah. Because I didn't at the time when it was coming down to crunch time for the budget. I didn't want to spend money on a change out dress, and
Hmm.
so I was like, well, I just got to kind of rock out with this one. So.
Okay. That makes sense. Now, because you had a destination wedding and your dress had you extra super duper snatched, is that like normal for you? Or did you like feel any pressure to work out more because it was going to be somewhere different? Did you have any of that?
Um,
Or do you
I
work out?
I
What's your
don't
physical?
I don't work out. I did feel pressure to work out. I tried. I was like, oh yeah, I'm gonna work out. I'm gonna lose this weight, and I didn't. I was like, you know what? I feel like I look fine. I'm happy with the way that I look, and I'm just gonna go the way that
And
I
my
look.
man like it, so
I was like, I'm not gonna stress myself out at the gym and not eating. I was already stressed, so I probably lost weight just from the stress of the wedding. I didn't need to like go to the gym because I went and got my dress altered. And it fit great, like when 2 weeks before the wedding. But then when I tried it on at the wedding, like in the stomach area, it was very loose. So it didn't really fit exactly how I wanted it to. And I was like, man, it fit great when I tried it on, but now I must have lost some weight, since. So, but no, I didn't work out. And no,
hey, you didn't need to, so I mean, you're
no,
good.
thank you. I
Good
appreciate
money.
it.
Did you use all of the vendors that your resort provided?
No. In particular, the photography. I
I was
think
wondering
most
that it
of the
didn't look like. I don't want to say. I mean, they don't. It didn't. It looked like you outsourced your
yeah,
photography. So.
yeah. I think the photography at probably all of the resorts, it just, I don't know the word I want to use, but I don't know.
It's
It's
pretty
it's
just
not
standard. It's like a
standard.
kind of cookie. Everything is
Yeah,
kind of can be cookie cutter, but
yeah,
even the photography is always, yeah.
yeah.
It's
You
rarely
can,
like a,
yeah,
yeah, yeah. Anyway,
you can really tell just with like the post editing, and that's the one thing that I don't think you should skimp on is your photography. I cut a lot of corners for my wedding at the end, but photography wasn't something that I was going to cut a corner on. I actually didn't have any flowers at my wedding, outside of my bouquet. Because the floral vendor at the resort, they weren't florists. We work with florists all the time. The prices were really exaggerated at the. I know how much centerpieces are supposed to cost because we
hmm.
do it all the time, and I knew that they were really drastically overcharging me. And I said, you know what, I'm not going to pay that much money for something that I really don't like and I really don't want. I'll just do some candles. We're on a rooftop overlooking the ocean. I don't really need all that,
Right.
I outsourced the photography. I brought a lot of stuff. I brought my own linens. Um, with me. I actually brought my candle bases, my candles. I brought all of that with me. Um, So I really, the only thing of theirs that I used, I guess it really wasn't anything besides the food and the venue. Everything else I brought with me.
And that's, I mean, obviously you're an event planner,
Hmm.
so I'm sure it was kind of, and you make decisions quite quickly. You know,
Hmm.
that probably you plan events, so of course you're gonna be like, do this, do this.
Yeah.
You've weighed all the different ideas, and you do this, so that makes sense. Now that I think about it too. I'm still gonna be hard on myself, but at least I understand a little bit now.
Yeah.
But when did you decide, like when you were packing up your decor? So you've got this big dress,
Hmm.
and then you knew that you had to obviously pack your clothing to arrive and to be there and go through your events. But when you dealt with your actual decor, did you choose a different, like a separate, did you send it in advance or did you get an extra I mean, not a carry on, obviously. Did you check bags? How did that work for you?
Yeah, I checked it. I had some glassware, so the glassware I just really bubble wrapped really well.
Mm-hmm.
But I just packed everything. So I think we went there with like 5 suitcases. Um, and then I knew, so a lot of the decor stuff I left there. The only thing I brought back with me were the linens, because I had rented them. So I was able to put some of the suitcases inside of other suitcases and not come back with as many.
Oh, so
Um,
wait a minute. That I never thought about that. So you rent, you can. I mean, I guess now. I'm thinking now.
mhm,
I never thought about renting things as if you're having a local wedding. You rent
mhm,
stuff and then you
exactly,
can bring it back.
exactly.
But is that cost effective for someone who's not an event planner? I'm assuming you got a discount or you work with some people.
Much
Is that
so.
an assumption?
It's not of a so much of a discount where it would matter at all per event.
Okay,
We might be talking about a difference of $20 versus $15, per
gotcha.
linen. Or I think my linens were $50 a linen. So they were like sequined, and what they wanted to charge. One, they didn't have the linen that I wanted. Had they had the linen I wanted, I would have went with their linen, but they didn't have it.
In Mexico,
Um,
right?
in Mexico, right? So I was like, well, I'll just bring my own linen. It was only four of them because I only had 40 people, 10 person per table. It was only four linen, so it wasn't too bad. But the candles, they were cylinders. And I wanted like 5 or 6 cylinders per tables with floating candles. And you wouldn't believe me if I told you that the resort wanted to charge me, and if I had like a submerged flower in it, they
Hmm.
wanted to charge me, I think, $500 per table
Yeah,
for.
I believe you. I got married in Mexico a month
Listen,
before you.
I said, I've got my cylinders from the Dollar Tree for $1, pack them, and fill them up. They filled them up with water. I got my floating candles, and I did the same thing for probably $20 a table. So
And
it
they
was.
still set it up for you. You just gave them the materials.
Yeah, they would have set it up for me if I wanted them to, and
Hmm.
they might have charged me a fee of like $150 or something. But I traveled with a friend who's also an intern for an event planning company, and she actually set all of it up.
Go ahead.
Hmm.
But yeah, so I know that you can bring your things, and I ended up like I got some napkins made,
Hmm.
and she had them custom, like I had them customized, and then she sent them to me, and we traveled with those. That was like really important for me. I wanted these colorful textiles of all these different things, so
Yeah.
we went with those, and we ended up bringing our place cards and like the
Hmm.
menus. We brought all of that stuff, but we didn't get
Yeah.
married on the resort either. Even if we would have, we that would have been how. I mean, you have to figure out ways to customize, so that makes sense. You bubble wrap your glass stuff, you pack it together. Most of it you're not bringing back with you, so you pack your, you make sure your suitcases could fit into other suitcases, right?
Yeah.
How long were you there?
Very
When?
week.
A week.
Hmm.
So what day did you arrive?
We got there on Friday. And did we get there on Friday? Yeah, we got there on Friday, and we got married on Monday.
Okay,
Hmm.
you got there Friday. You got married Monday, and then you stayed for a few.
Like I stayed like an extra, I guess, 3 days or so.
Okay. Did you end up having, like, were you able to negotiate any rates with anybody? I mean, with the
Um,
actual.
yeah. So I did kind of try and negotiate the rates with the travel agent. I mean, she got us a decent rate. I think it came out to be like 380, uh, 380 per room, but it
Hmm.
was all inclusive. So it was 380 per room, so 380 per every two people about, or somewhere between 380 and 400 per room.
And is that
And
an adult only?
no, mm-mm.
Okay. And did you have children there?
Yeah, uh-huh.
Okay. I was wondering.
Only our son though
Oh,
was the only.
okay. How old is your son?
He's 8. Well, he's 9. I'm
Mhm.
sorry,
Okay.
he's 9. And so now what I found interesting was sometimes so they gave me that rate. It was an all-inclusive rate. But what was interesting about my resort is you could book an all-inclusive rate or a non-inclusive rate. But
Mhm.
through the resort and through the wedding department, you couldn't book non-inclusive rooms. But you could go on Expedia and book a room at the same resort at the non-inclusive rate, which was drastically cheaper. So the rate through my block was $400 a night for all inclusive for two adults, and the rate on Expedia was only like $120 a night for two
So that's
people.
a lot of money considering that's a lot of food and drink. And some people eat and drink that much, but at the
Yeah,
same time,
yeah, but you know what? The thing about my resort, and I don't think it would be this way at most resorts, is they never checked. So people that had booked that non-inclusive room were still eating and drinking for free the entire time.
okay.
Weren't checking the wristbands for some reason.
I was gonna
So
ask, yeah, it probably wasn't even worth the headache for that. Like you don't have a wristband, and then it
exactly,
turns out that you forgot, and they're gonna mess up your whole. They end up with a horrible review on TripAdvisor or something.
yeah. So
That's
I told
interesting.
some of the people that I knew maybe the price was an issue for about the cheaper rate on Expedia, but I didn't want to tell everybody because if everybody didn't book through my block, I would have lost some of my credits through the travel.
Right.
So
Wait to see what's going on, and then when people seem a little shaky, go,
ex-
okay, I know you might not come, so
right.
I got my room block together, so let me put you.
Ex- ex-
Interest. Okay, so that's really good to know. I have to, yeah, we gotta take note of that one. I mean, I'm not obviously not gonna put that all out there like that and
Yeah, yeah.
have them checking and messing up everybody, but okay. When you booked your room block, did you like pay in advance anything as a
Uh,
deposit, or did you
uh,
like how did that work? Because I know there's a few different ways of doing it.
yeah. I had to pay $100. Well, what did I have to do? I had to pay, I think, well, what was it? Was it $100 per room or something like that? I think I had to put $100 down per room.
Hmm. And
And
then when people put their money up, then you were able to apply that to your room.
exactly, yeah.
Yeah, we did the same thing. I think ours might have been like $50 or something
Yeah,
like.
maybe
No, I
it
don't.
might be
I
$50 per
actually
room.
don't know. It might have been 100. Now I think about it. He would know more. And then you had to kind of let rooms go by a certain amount of time, or you would have been responsible for them, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. And when did you have any other events? Did you got married on Monday?
Yeah, we had a welcome event on Saturday. Um, and it was like on the beach, like dinner. And then on Sunday, we did a boat day. So we chartered like a catamaran and it took us over to Isla Mujeres. Um,
Ooh,
so we sailed for like an hour, went over to Isla Mujeres, ate, sailed back, and then came back to the resort. So it was kind of like an all day thing, probably like a 6 hour thing. And then the next day we got married.
okay. And choosing a Monday, was that a thing for people or
No. People didn't seem to really care too much about that because I knew either way they were going to have to take a day during the week off. So it was like either it's going to be Friday, it's going to be Monday, and being that the first event wasn't until Saturday, it was kind of okay, you know.
Oh yeah, that's true.
And actually, the only reason why I chose a Monday is because I decided so late to have a destination wedding. It was the only day that was available. And actually, sometimes you find that you get more credits and discounts when you don't have your wedding on a Friday, Saturday, or Sunday at a resort. If you
Mm-hmm.
do like a Monday through a Thursday, sometimes you get special, you know, promotions.
Yeah. So is that how you picked your actual date? Like your
Well, that was the only I had to get married in June, and that was the only date available in June. So
why June?
well, because my husband coaches football and little league football, and he kind of thinks that he coaches for the NFL. So he wanted
To be back
to have
and
the wedding- right. He wanted to have the wedding before the football season started, so it had to be in June.
Oh, that's cute. You wanted to be there for the kids.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So that's a pretty easy way to pick it.
Yeah.
That makes sense. Um, how about digging more into so you had your bridal party.
Mhm.
How
Well,
did
actually,
you
that changed.
Okay.
Um, when I chose to do the destination wedding, we nixed the bridal party altogether. So I only had a maid of honor and he had a best man, and that was it.
Did people feel slighted? Was there any drama behind that?
No, I hate bridal parties. I
So why were
feel
you gonna have one initially?
well because if I was going to have a bigger wedding of like 150 people, I was kind of like, but I went back and forth about it. Like, do I want to do this? Do I not?
Hmm.
Um, and I was like, all right, I'll do one. He wanted to have a couple people up there, so I was like, fine, whatever. But then once we decided to have destination, and I knew it would only be like 40 people, the bridal party was going to be half of the guests, so it wouldn't make sense to have half of the guests standing up at the, at the gazebo.
Right.
So we were like, all right, we're just going to do one of these. No, I think they felt relieved. Like, great, we can be a guest. We're cool. And yeah, I didn't have to deal with the headache of a bridal party. It's a headache, and I think when you have a destination wedding, it really becomes a headache. Um, I mean, bridal parties are great. I support anybody that wants to do it, but I think that you will run into at some point a little drama um, with the bridal party.
Yeah, you can run into drama without a bridal party.
Yeah.
I'm a testament to that one. So, so
Yes.
yes, I agree. We did not have a bridal party, and I mean, you hear different stories, you hear different things. I'm sure you probably are very much aware of lots of drama that goes on being the event planner. So
Mm. Yeah,
okay,
it's already stressful planning a destination wedding. I just don't think you need to add the stress of a bridal party. That's just my personal opinion.
yeah, and then I mean, it's already a cost. It's already a cost that you're asking people, and then on top of that, there's a lot that goes with being
Right.
I was about
Yes.
to say bride friend, which obviously is my spin on bridesmaids, but
Yeah.
or people who are in support of you and your decision to have your wedding.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. And I think that's the part that unfortunately some bridesmaids don't understand is that accepting or agreeing to be a bridesmaid is a financial commitment. And
hmm
um, that's usually where some of the drama comes along. So
yeah.
yeah.
How about your hair and makeup?
Well, I had two friends. One of my friends does hair, and she was a guest at the wedding. So she did my hair, and then the other girl who is my friend who also works with the event planning company, she does makeup, so she did my makeup. I probably wouldn't have trusted the people at the resort to do my hair and makeup. Our hair is a little different,
Right.
and you know, so I just knew I had to invite somebody that could do my hair.
I was gonna ask, would they have been invited if they didn't have their skills?
Uh, but
And that's a weird. Actually, hold on. Yeah, just in case they were. That question
well,
sounds
they
interesting.
were legitimately my friends, so yes, they
Okay.
been there. Um, but had I not had friends that could do hair and makeup, um, I probably would have done it myself. To be honest, like I'm pretty good with doing my own hair, so I probably would have trusted myself to do it before I have trusted somebody at the resort to do it.
Would you have at all? And this is always in hindsight. Like for me, I brought a professional for me, and then I know other people who've done the same thing. Had that
Yeah.
crossed your mind at all, or you already had it together? So
Yeah, I just didn't need to do it, so I don't think it crossed my mind. But if I
you could
didn't,
have went on Instagram and did your hashtags and found a
exactly,
hashtag destination wedding
yeah.
something.
But if I did need to fly somebody in, I probably would have tried to barter something because I feel like to pay to get there, pay for their hotel, then to pay for the hair and makeup. Well, if it's just me, I guess it wouldn't have been that bad. But if I had a bridal party that I also had to pay for, that would really rack up. So being that it would have just been me, I probably would have brought somebody in, maybe, possibly.
Yeah. Mm.
But I probably would have made it something like, hey, come on this free 3-day trip to Mexico and can you do my hair and makeup
Right. Or
on
something. Yeah.
like
Yeah, I
that?
mean that it tends to work out in that way. You work something
Yeah.
out because it's not. ignore that you're staying at an all inclusive or whatever the case is. Like there's something that ends up being a piece. Something
Exactly.
happens. Hopefully, I mean, I'm sure some people probably wouldn't be down for it, but they don't
Yeah,
appreciate travel as much or a trip. So,
exactly.
so did you guys do any trials ahead of time, or did you just kind of say come and then do whatever?
Yeah, I did a trial on my makeup. So she did my makeup for the bridal shower, and so that was kind of like our trial for the wedding. But I didn't do a trial on my hair.
You just knew what you wanted.
And she does my hair all the time, so I was like, "Hey, this is how I want my hair done." I sent her a picture, and she was like, "Cool, got you." And that was it.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay. Were there any? So you obviously were very sure about the. Once you decided on having a destination wedding, you were with it. But did you have any concerns at all before you got to Mexico?
Yeah, I questioned myself a couple of times, like, did I do the right thing? Only because of when it came down to crunch time and people getting their flights and booking their rooms and the passports, it became a little overwhelming. Only because I did feel like I needed to handhold a lot of people through the process. So I was like, man, I should have just did it here, or have eloped, or maybe we should have just went to Mexico and got married ourselves and just said we're not inviting anybody,
Right.
and just did that. So I definitely questioned myself probably up until like a week before we got to Mexico.
People were having a hard time with their like with getting it. You had to kind
Just
of
just people that don't travel all the time, just buying flights and how do I get from the airport to the resort.
right,
So just like little things that we just do all the time, so it's like second nature.
right, yeah. But once they arrived, how was that?
Once they arrived, it was like it was really like you know uh, a lot of stress lifted off of our backs. Like everybody was enjoying themselves, they were there, and everybody really just had a really really great time.
Good. Now, back to beauty for a moment. I know that like you mentioned that your dress was, hotter, I guess, kind of, it was, more in that way. But your wedding was outdoors, correct?
Yeah.
And it was in June. Now, I got married May 27th
Mhm.
in Mexico, not far from you. Actually, more kind of in Playa. It was a Blue Venado was the place. It was a beach club that was a little bit south of Playa. But anyway, um, temperature wise, did you have any like problems or concerns as far as like your makeup and your beauty and making sure that everything was good? Did you have to take any precautions?
The only precaution I took is that another thing that I did oftentimes is I would YouTube videos from the resort and like weddings that were at the resort. And the resort actually has a live feed where you can watch all of the rooftop weddings that happen at the resort on YouTube.
Wow.
Yeah, if you go to Ustream and search for Azul Fives, you can see all of their weddings. And one thing I noticed was it was extremely windy
Mm.
on the rooftop. So as I was thinking about wearing my hair down initially, I changed it and wore it up because I hate when you can't get a good photo because your
Your
hair is
hair's in your way.
way and it's not blowing the right way. So I was like, all right, I got to do a pinup style. But that was really the only change that I made.
Okay.
The weather was perfect because we got married at 6 o'clock in the evening.
That was my next
I
question.
like that sunset, type feel. So I mean, it wasn't hot at all. It was like perfect.
And then as far as I know that you said that the food was very important to you. So as far as choosing like the bar and the menu, how did you do those sorts of things away from the Mexico? Like obviously you were at home. So did you
Um,
guys do Skype or did you guys what did you do?
No, I mean there was a banquet kit and you could choose your food from the banquet kit. And I really relied on the Facebook group. So asking them, hey, what did you choose? How was the food? Do you have pictures of the food? And what was unfortunate is doing it on the sky deck at that resort, you were limited to what you could choose as your food. It had to be a family style menu, and they only had three options for the family style menu. So it really narrowed down what I could choose from. So that's just kind of how we did it.
Okay. And then so when you arrived on Friday, how did your trip go? Like when you arrived, what happened?
We arrived on Friday. And, I tried to stay around in the lobby area. I knew most of my guests were arriving. Probably half of them arrived Friday, half of them Saturday, just to make sure check-in was okay. They didn't have any questions and they weren't confused about anything. Make sure they were getting my welcome itineraries out to my guests. about what to do, times of things. And then on Saturday, I had a meeting with the wedding coordinator. So just to go over everything about the wedding decor, just to go over the timeline, essentially. We met for an hour. Um,
You look at the venue, you do all that stuff.
yeah, yeah, just went up to the space, went over the timeline, music, all that stuff. And then after that, it was really just, just going to the events that I had each day, Saturday and Sunday. And that was really it.
Did you do a tasting?
No,
Interesting.
no, because,
I'm sorry, guys. I'm like right by a window, and it's a little crazy right now. We're
yeah,
good.
I didn't do a tasting, no tasting. And even though the food was really important to me, I just knew I couldn't do a tasting and I couldn't really change my mind the day before once I got there anyway. So I knew I was just I really relied on the Facebook group to tell me about the food and help just kind of make my decision that way. But they do have a bridal event, and I think a lot of resorts have this. They have like bridal events like several times throughout the year where you can come and taste the food and take a look at their different decor packages. I know a lot of different resorts have different decor packages you can choose from. You can take a look at their linens and some of their rentals and stuff like that. So, but because we chose so late, we didn't get a chance to make it to like any of those like bridal events or anything. So
Okay. And then what about your photographers?
I found them on Instagram, hashtag. So I was like, Riviera Maya photographers. And I found her on Instagram and I really fell in love with her photos. And
Who is it? Was it one person or?
yeah, it was Moni, and her name is Moni and Adri Photography. She's based in Cancun. And it was her and she had two assistants with her. So um, we met actually on Friday. We met and sat down, went over timeline, just so we got a chance to meet each other before the actual day of the wedding. Scoped out some different places for photos on the resort before she came back on Monday.
Yeah. So, um, Tux, the groom.
Oh, so that was interesting. I actually initially went through Black Tux. I don't know if you heard of Black Tux
Yes, I
before.
have.
And I was like, oh, this is cool. Like they have more like high-end um options. And but one, I don't know, I found the process of ordering and getting them mailed and getting people to do it and then having them go get their measurements a bit cumbersome. And then once I got into what they will do is they will send you a try on suit first, a couple weeks ahead of your wedding to make sure it fits good, you like it, and all of that. And and they send you your real tux in the mail 2 weeks before your wedding. But the home try on tux isn't the same tux, depending on the tux type you decide, as the one you're going to wear to your wedding. So the home
Interesting.
try on tux was fine. But then 2 weeks before the wedding, when I got the real one, because all my guests wore white, so we wore white, all of my guests wore white. So his tux was white. So when I got his tux in the mail 2 weeks before the wedding, I was very disappointed in the quality of the tux. And we ended up having to find different tuxes. I go to a tux rental place and find something different like 2 weeks before the wedding, get everybody else new tux. Nobody had paid yet, so it was like, all right,
Who's
let's just.
everybody if you didn't have a bridal party
Well,
too?
it was him, my dad, my brother, and his best man and our son.
Okay.
I wanted them in like white tux, black lapel, because they were kind of like in the wedding. My dad was walking me down the aisle, my brother was
Mm-hmm.
walking mom down, and our son was a ring bearer. So I wanted them like all in the same type of suit.
Mm-hmm.
So we ended up having to find like this tux rental place here in Pittsburgh, like last minute. So that was very stressful because we had to go back, get refitted, pick out new tuxes. So I think it's best to find a tux place in your city and have people go pick it up, take it with them, and just do it that way than using some type of online ordering service, unfortunately.
Yeah. Did you have any difficulty with, because it was destinations, and sometimes with like the rental places,
Hmm.
it's a thing where you have to have it back in a couple of days. But because you're not going to be back in a couple of days, was that a thing for you?
No, because the good thing is because the wedding was on Monday, most people were leaving Tuesday, but I guess they did have to have it on Friday. But I
Yeah.
just told them like, hey, it's a destination wedding, and they seemed okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. Cool, cool, cool. Um, and then was it a local spot or was it
Yeah,
something?
Hills, Michelangelo's in Penn Hills.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. I do know where that is.
Yeah.
Did you? So you, Facebook groups you relied on.
Mhm.
Did you read any books or anything?
No,
No.
not really. I really relied on the Facebook group.
Which sounds like it's much better than anything else
Yeah,
anyway.
it's
So
really good. It's really good. And the resort had like a wedding, part to their site, so I would go on there and I could, they had decor packages, and I didn't use any of the decor packages, but it had a lot of information in there, like banquet kits and stuff like that.
how do you get your inspiration? How did you get your inspiration?
Probably Pinterest and Instagram. I knew I wanted all white, something, that felt like sexy and modern. And so like clean, all white, was really my vision for it all. So it was pretty easy. It wasn't too in depth.
Do you speak Spanish?
No.
Were there any language barrier issues at all for you?
No, I don't think so.
No, everybody, because you said you called you called, but they were in Miami.
They were
That's
in
right.
Miami. Yeah.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Good to know.
Yeah.
Hmm.
And one thing about the resort too that I encourage people to do, like when they're looking at different resorts, is to ask about the vendor fees, outside vendor fees, at the resorts, because the outside vendor fee at my resort was $800.
Oh my gosh. So they try their best to make you use their people.
Use their people,
So you had to add that to your.
yeah. And so for my photographer, not only did I have to pay for the photographer, I had to pay the $800 vendor fee. If I had chosen like makeup and hair outside of their spa people, it would have
You
been
would
eight
have
hundred
had to
dollars.
do the same thing for
eight
that.
dollars for the makeup people, yeah. So
That's steep. Ours was $100, and they
yes,
ended up not paying. They ended up not. I mean, all the. Hold on, we didn't get married on the resort, so that might have been why we didn't get charged because we did end up having to take our. They did a pre-wedding photo shoot,
mm,
and he came onto the resort for that.
mm,
So maybe that's why they didn't pay. They didn't charge us for it. But it's
yeah,
still $100. But eight
yeah,
hundred dollars is like, don't
yes,
bring. Just say no. Just say I can't
exactly,
bring anybody else.
exactly.
Just tell
But
me
at
no.
that time, I had already had the invites printed. I had already, paid a
Yeah.
room block. But had I known that early on, I probably would not have chosen the resort, honestly, because I wanted an outside florist. I wanted maybe some outside rentals, and I couldn't do any of that.
Because you have to tack an
Because
additional
yeah,
eight
it
hundred on that.
really increased my budget, and it was just like this is crazy. So
Wow.
yeah, it was the one thing that was really unfortunate about it all.
Yeah, and then especially like you said, because you didn't know that. Normally that's
Yeah, because I had
wow.
found a really great outside florist, and
Who was it?
but
Who did you like?
her name is Vanessa James,
I
Floral
know.
Design.
Yeah, she does has really good stuff. I ended
Yeah,
up
really.
choosing her name is Moni Junko is who I ended up using, but she was a runner up also.
Yeah, she did. I mean, she does really great work. And they told me that if I had her do my flowers, in addition to paying the $800 outside vendor fee, I she couldn't come in and set up the flowers. She could only bring them to the lobby, and I would have to go get them and set them up.
So she's not coming then.
Right.
So you're telling me that I just can't go out and buy my own flowers and bring them? Is what you're
Exactly. Yeah.
Wow.
So they really
So
were like, we don't really want anybody else in here. And I'm like, oh, this is crazy. So I guess that really is just what made me say, you know what? I'm just not going to do any flowers. It's just not
yeah,
even
because I
worth.
don't want you're not gonna force me to use your people.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's
Exactly.
that's a huge
Yeah.
no. Oh. I mean,
Yeah.
you had a beautiful wedding, so I mean
Yeah.
so
I
you
didn't miss so much at the end of the day, so it was okay.
So, what do you, outside of asking that question, can you give me like three things that you wish you would have done, and then three things that you're glad you did in relation to planning your destination wedding?
Three things I wish I would have done. One is making sure that you ask about outside vendor fees.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Two, Probably. I went back and forth about the Sunday and having an event, having like a paid for event for the guests and giving a free day. And I think some of the guests felt like there was something they had to do each day and they didn't have like a day to themselves. So maybe I would have given like a free day on. Everybody really enjoyed the boat though, but so I don't know, but maybe given a free day.
Because most people just stayed for the days of
Exactly.
your wedding.
Yeah. So
Gotcha.
maybe giving a free day for them to have something to do for themselves. What else do I wish I would have done? I wish I probably would have had a chance to visit the resort, before I decided to have it there. I think that's a good idea if you can do that, is to, go and check it out. I think it just lowers your anxiety level
Yeah.
a little bit because you're just kind of walking in blindly and hoping that it all looks right and works out.
Right.
Sometimes things look different in their professional photos on their site than they do in real life.
Right. Now,
And
question with that.
yeah.
Because you had been there, you had already been like to the Cancun area or the Riviera Maya
Hmm.
a few times. Why
Hmm.
didn't you choose any of those other resorts? What made you choose?
The food price was the food
That
was
was
too
like
high.
the final. Okay.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, one of the main reasons why we also decided to go destination was to cut the budget. And it's like, well, if I'm going to come here and spend the same amount, I might as well just have it in Pittsburgh,
Yeah.
you know. So the food, like it was like, oh, yeah, the food was just too high, and it was like, even though I only had 40 people, I still had two events, so it was like paying for the food and alcohol twice.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay, I'm
And
back. Yeah.
things you said that I wish that I'm glad I did.
Yes.
Um, I would say, well, I'm glad I decided to have a destination wedding in the first place and just did what, we wanted to do. Um, I'm glad, you know what else I didn't do? I didn't have a DJ. I actually created a playlist on my phone and rented speakers through the resort and just played my phone.
Yeah?
I Yep, I think the fact that I only had 40, had I maybe had more than 40 people, I probably wouldn't have done it. But because it was only 40 people and 10 out of those 40 were like older adults who really weren't going to be, cutting a rug on the dance floor anyway, I didn't feel the need to invest at $2,000 into a DJ because that's about how much it was through the resort. And then if you wanted an outside DJ, they're going to charge you extra $800.
$800. Yeah.
So I'm glad I did that because then people came up and made requests, and I was able to, just, go into my Apple library and play songs, and we had a blast. Like we had a DJ, so I thought that was a pretty good idea to kind of save myself some money. And what else am I glad that I did? Um, we thought about changing resorts. So like after the wedding was over, we were like, oh, should we like change resorts, for like our honeymoon if we're staying longer? And I'm glad that we decided to stay on the resort because we were just exhausted. And I'm glad we just and we there were was a point in time where we were like, should we even stay longer? Should we just go back home? So I'm glad that we took a couple of days to be there by ourselves and didn't decide to change resorts and we could just really kind of relax.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that's definitely one of the things where people feel like, oh, a destination wedding is a vacation. And it's like,
Hmm.
it's not. A destination wedding is not a
Hmm.
vacation. You are planning, you are hosting, you are there. It's like it's
Hmm.
a huge event for you. And it's enjoyable and it's a
Yeah.
destination wedding is a wedding at a different venue. It's a
Yeah.
wedding somewhere else. Just like
Yeah.
anything else, that's all that
Yeah.
it is. So you want to try to, I ended up giving some tips after my wedding where it's like, make sure that you do have like some time to yourself. Try
Hmm.
to. And if you can't
Hmm.
stay longer, then figure out ways to kind of sneak away and be on your own. Like we ended up having room service like every night that we were there, which
Hmm.
we, it was a not cheap resort. And then we ended up, we're paying all inclusive and we ate and we drank, but, we only went to one restaurant in a whole week that we were there. We went to one
Yeah.
restaurant and I was exhausted at that restaurant, but we just went because we wanted to just go, just
Yeah.
because, so staying longer if
Yeah.
possible. Definitely, I'm glad that you mention that because that's a really, really, really good tip.
Absolutely. You definitely are hosting the whole time, and you want to make sure everybody's okay, and you're like catering to people so you don't really feel like you're on vacation for those couple of days that, your events are. So I'm definitely glad we got that us time, and people were gone and we could just focus on us being there, by ourselves. So that was really good time for us.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you save money.
Hmm.
Are you willing, like, are you open to sharing your budget at all?
Yeah, that's fine. Hmm.
Okay. So how much was your wedding?
I think all in, probably with my dress and travel and everything. I think we probably only spent we probably only spent about maybe somewhere in between 20 and 25.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what do you think you would have, like, how much, because you were going to get married at the Monaco.
Yeah.
What, and with the number of people, I know you can't say exactly how much you
Hmm.
were because it didn't happen, but what do you
Hmm.
think your budget would
I,
have been?
I I at least would have spent 40
Yeah.
at a bare minimum. That's like a bare minimum.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Because the cost per person for the food there was, I think, somewhere around like $130 per person or something.
Right. Did you
Um,
do like a full bar?
well, actually, the good thing about my resort is the prices included 4 hours of open bar. So yeah, um,
Ooh.
so I didn't pay for like food, and then because a lot of the resort packages, you pay for your food, and you have to choose like your alcohol package.
Right. Yeah.
But I didn't have to do that. The alcohol was included in the food, and the food was cheap. I mean, like for my wedding reception, it was like a family style like hibachi. So there was New York strip steak, there was chicken breast, there was lobster tails, there were shrimp
Yes.
kebabs,
Mm. Mm. It's
there
getting close to
was
dinner time, so
salmon. Yeah, there were sides and then starters and then the dessert, and it was only like $30 a person. And that included the 4 hours of open bar.
and family style as in like they bring it to the table or was it more
So
like a buffet sort of?
Well, it was like Brazilian steakhouse style, I want to say, if that's the best way I can describe it. So the sides
It's
were
like
on
it's
the table,
rotating.
but they come around with the different meats and you say, "Yeah, I want that," or "Give me more of that," that type of thing.
Oh, I like that.
And they cooked it right on the grill on the rooftop. So it was like cooked right in front of us, so it was pretty cool.
Did you have a videographer?
I didn't. Oh, that's one of the things I wish I would have done. Let me add that. Is I wish that I would have had a videographer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just really hated the resort's videographer. It was very
Yeah.
generic to me, and I hated it. And I just didn't want to pay for it. And I had found some great videographers, but for what they wanted plus the $800 vendor fee, I probably would have been looking at close to like an extra at least 2,500 to like $3,000. And when it came down to the end and crunch time, and we were trying to save money on the budget, I was like, we just can't do it. So
Yeah, that $800 is
yeah,
whew,
yeah,
they're wrong for that.
yeah, really wrong. That's a like that's astronomical outside vendor fee. So yeah, it messed us up.
Yeah. Because you mentioned that you guys paid for the wedding. How
Hmm.
did you save? Did you already have a savings because you've been together already or how did you make it happen?
No, we didn't save, unfortunately, for the wedding. I knew it was coming too, and I kept telling myself up to like I should be saving for the wedding. I should be saving. But when it's not real yet, and you don't have the ring and all that,
Yeah, you're
it's
not about to,
hard.
you're gonna be looking at that money the whole
I'd
time.
be like, oh, let me save for the wedding that I'm not sure is happening. So no, we didn't. So we really just kind of paid as we went, and that probably added to the stress. And because we were trying to have it so quickly, I mean, most people at least wait a year,
Hmm.
to have their destination wedding. But we wanted kids and we wanted to start a family and all of that good stuff, and we just didn't want to wait a full because we got married in October, so we didn't do it that summer. It probably wouldn't have been to the following summer, so it would have been over a year really.
Right.
We just didn't want to wait that long. So that definitely added to the stress. It was really stressful, especially on my husband because when I told you he wasn't really completely on board for the destination thing. So he felt like he was spending a ton of money on something he really kind of didn't
He
want.
and he can't see it either. Yeah.
Yeah. So he really just didn't get it. And most men aren't really big into weddings anyway. They feel like it's the woman's day. And, so it was really hard for him to wrap his mind around. and which caused me stress, because I'm like, man, I want him to be excited. I want him to be happy about it. And he just doesn't see like the end goal and the end vision. But in the end, he was like, you were right, and I was like, yes, like, okay, you get it now. Um, and so, no, we didn't say it, but I think if you have the time in your timeline to save and do it the right way, it's going to be a much more enjoyable experience for you to do it that way than to try and, rush and do it kind of like I did.
Okay. Was there anything that he was happy about while planning? Was there anything that he was like particular about, or he wanted to make sure that you got this and make sure this happens? Nothing. He
No,
was like,
he
just
wasn't happy
here, just here,
about,
take the money, huh? Just here.
yeah, he wasn't happy about any of it. He was not happy about
So how
about
did you deal with that? Like
I
how
hated it. I'm like, babe, like I need you to like act like you want to do this,
yeah, give it down just a little bit.
Yeah,
Give it a little something.
here, he's just like, maybe I just need to like get there and be there, and so it was not a fun process for him going through it at all. Um, so but once there, I could tell that, really, it was really once everybody left. I think that he was able, when we sat down by the pool, and he was really able to just process, because sometimes
Yeah.
of it, you don't have the time you're not processing it. So once we had the time to sit down and really process everything, he was like, this was the right move. This was the right decision. I'm glad that, we did this. So that was like, oh, good.
Good. I know, because it could have been like see, I told you we should have never did this.
Exactly.
And you would have
And
never lived it down.
never. Never. So yeah, I was excited about that.
Good. Okay.
Hmm.
Okay. Did you get married legally in Mexico?
No, no, because as you probably know, there you had to take like a bunch of like blood tests and like
Yeah.
at the resort, and we were like,
Uh-uh.
no,
That's what's not about to happen.
no.
Sorry. Yeah.
So we
It's a
got
lot of
married
hoops you have to
legally.
jump through.
Yeah, we got legally married here probably like 2.5 weeks before we went.
You did.
Yeah.
So you went to the office downtown.
Well, we went and got our marriage certificate, but we actually had our uncle of mine marry us in our house. Um, and he kind of like performed the ceremony and did everything, and we did it that way.
So
I didn't want to like get married at the courthouse.
right. Yeah, we ended up doing that, and actually we ended up doing a little bit of research and finding out like who like a really good judge was, and he was
Mm.
really really great. It was kind of weird, like I was about to cry in there. He was really really nice and
Oh,
all about weddings, and was like, I want to take your picture. And you go back there and there's no one there, so in
yeah,
my mind I felt like people are also, I don't know, I
yeah,
thought people were going to be seeing it and stuff, so it
yeah.
was none of that.
Oh, that
And
was
he ended
cool.
up like videotaping it, and you got all
Wow.
the vows, so it was a whole thing.
Oh,
But
that's good.
so was your uncle an officiant already, or did
He
you?
is. Yeah,
Uh,
he's a pastor. Yep.
okay.
Mhm. Mhm.
Did he go to the
Yeah.
wedding?
He didn't come to the wedding, no.
Did he get invited?
No.
Okay. Just
He
wondering.
didn't. He didn't. No. We didn't do like a bunch of aunts and uncles just because
Because
it,
you can't pick them. You can't pick
yeah. So it was
them. Like
like really the only people from my family that were there were my mom, my dad, and my brother. That's
yeah.
it.
So the day of your wedding, how did your day of go?
The day of was great. Actually, a lot of my guests, because remember I told you a lot of them felt like they didn't have that free day.
Hmm.
So a lot of my guests they went and did this ATV like C note swim thing because it didn't start till 6. And even my husband went, and I was a little nervous about that. Like, babe, are you sure you're gonna make it back? Like, what if you don't make it back? Um, but he went, and they had a really good time. And I think they left at like 8 in the morning. They got back at like 3. Um, what did I do in the morning? I actually think I went to the pool for a little bit with my friends, and then I went back to my room and started my hair and makeup. And before I knew it, we did a first look. I didn't want to do a first look, but we didn't really have a lot of time in between when the ceremony would be over and when the reception started
Because of that 6 o'clock start time. Yeah.
to have the right type of daylight. So we ended up doing the first look around 5. And
How was that?
Oh, it was good. I liked it. It
So
was
you
fun.
didn't want to do it, but were you
Yeah,
happy? Did it?
yeah. I'm glad that we got the extra photo time. I am. Because we really did, and I still didn't get all the photos that I wanted, after the ceremony and in between the reception. So I am glad that we did it. We had to do it just due to the timeline. So yeah. So the day up was actually pretty smooth, very smooth.
Did you get ready by yourself, or well, I guess you
Uh,
had your hair and your makeup friend, but did you?
my maid of honor, my hair and makeup, and my mom. That was really it.
Did they get their makeup done as well?
My mom did, and she's not a makeup person. My maid of honor did though. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean that sounds. I feel like you gave us everything. What would you to anyone who's like wondering should they do this?
hmm
What would you tell them?
I think if it's, mm, I think what you should decide is if you feel like the pros, outweigh the cons. For me, I really wanted a destination wedding. I really always wanted to do that. Um, and I was okay with not all of my family being there. Some people won't do it because they really want certain family members there, you know. And if certain members of my family had still been alive, I probably wouldn't have decided to have the destination wedding either, because that was something that was important to me too. But with the people that were there, I was okay with saying, okay, I'm okay with these people being able to come. It's going to save me money on the budget, and it's what we really want. So I think you just have to evaluate what's important to you, and what's most important. Is it more important for all of your family to be there, or is it more important for you to really have the wedding that you want, and that you're going to pay for? And looking back on it, I'm so glad that we made the decision to have a destination wedding. Everybody was like, "This is the best wedding I've ever been to. Like, we had the time of our lives." I'm so glad we came, and just giving a lot of people, the experience of being out of the country and doing something they've never done before, and just not only did they attend our wedding, but they leave with life experiences
Yeah.
and memories that they'll hold with them for the rest of their life. So it was important for us to have that, and for us to share that with our families, and to have them experience that. So I think that really outweighed everything else, and in the end, we know that we ultimately made the right decision.
Oh, I'm
Mhm.
sorry.
That was
Well,
good.
thank you for that. Now, what tip would you get? Because I have also, like I said, that like a part of the audience also is
Mhm,
like bride friends, so the actual
mhm,
supporters. So,
mhm.
what tips, like what types of things do you either wish? I guess not even instead of getting personal with it, what do you like? What tips would you give to anyone who's gonna be like a maid of honor or
Mhm.
just a bride friend to someone who's having a wedding?
I would say is, be clear on what you can and you can't do. Whether that is, time wise, financially. Um, I think as a maid of honor, as a bridesmaid, you're expected to do certain things financially. Give your time, your planning, expertise to certain events, and just to be clear. And if it's something that you can't do, just being okay with saying, hey, you know what, I'm definitely going to be there, but I can't really commit to being a bridesmaid. And I
Yeah.
think people will fully appreciate that, and understand that. And I think just remembering that it's the bride's day, and it's about what she wants and what's going to make her happy. And some of the same decisions that the bride may make may not be the same ones that you would make for your wedding, or that you would do. But the bride is doing what's best for her, and she just wants you to be there for an ear, and to listen and be supportive. And that's really it.
Thank you.
No problem. Thank you.
I appreciate that. I do. Thank you, Erica.
No problem. Thank you. I appreciate you reaching out to me. I'm excited to help out in any way I can.
Yay! Another great one for the books. I want to give a huge thank you to you, Ericka, for being our bride friend and for sharing your destination wedding experience and a wealth of knowledge. Thank you, thank you, thank you. And at the beginning, I promised you guys a bonus clip. So here it is. So, do you have a baby on the way? But a month later, well, it's been 2 months, right? Can I ask that?
When is this gonna air? Possibly.
Really? Oh, congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. We're excited. It was a honeymoon baby, so we're excited about it.
Oh, oh, that's so great.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it'll be a little while anyway. We've got a
Okay,
little
okay.
backlog, so
All right,
you
good.
got time. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'll make sure to let you know and then ask you if that's something that we don't have to have that piece in there. I'm nosy. I told you I was nosy, so I'm going to ask stuff.
But yeah,
Oh, yay.
we're excited. And that was a big thing. Like, oh, I want to have a child. We want to have a baby. And
Y'all
he was
didn't
like,
play
well,
no games. You said, okay, Mary, let's go.
exactly. And he was like, well, why can't we have the baby first and then get married? I'm like, because I don't want to do that.
Yeah, we already got we got one. Come on, we good. Yeah.
Exactly. Like, let's get going, and I was like, so we'll get married and we'll probably get pregnant on honeymoon and that'll be that. And that's exactly what happened. So, so yeah.
Oh, oh, I love that.
Yeah.
Oh,
So,
that's so sweet. Now I got a big, goofy, cheesy grin on my face, as usual. That's about right.
so yeah.
Okay. Yes, isn't it so sweet? Ericka, the Portises are expecting a baby boy in March. So let's congratulate her. Ericka, congratulations. I wish you the absolute best, and I'm sending you love and wishing you a happy and healthy and peaceful pregnancy. And I'm kind of hating a little bit because somehow you are even more beautiful now. Like, you really look great. It's nuts, but you're amazing. So thank you. And to you, my bride friends, thanks so much for hanging out with me today on the Bride Friends Guide to Destination Weddings. You guys, I really appreciate this. I have had a crazy year. We've lived it together. You guys have seen it all, and it's just been awesome. I can't wait until the next year to see well, I know what we've got going on. Actually, I don't really know. We'll see. I know about a few interviews and some things that I've got cooking, but I have no idea what 2018 is going to bring to us. And I'm so excited, and I hope you guys are too. Continue to reach out to me. I will add all of the pics from the Portis's fairy tale engagement and wedding and the links to everything that we discussed in the show notes at bridefriends.com/20, which you can find if you swipe up in the description of this episode that you're listening to. And if this was your first episode, welcome. Be sure to subscribe and check out the previous 19 episodes.